So good morning to everyone. I'm pleasure to be the moderator today. My name is Alberto. I'm from Portugal. I'm the international director for BEWG Enterprising Water Group, responsible for the markets in Europe and Africa, and also the CEO for BeWater. So in Portugal, we have a few concessions, and we work in the water in mostly all kind of process. Let me introduce here, on my right is Miguel from Aguas de Gaia, then Pedro from Aguas do Porto, so another two Portuguese here. And here on the left, Noam from Miya, and Martin also, that will join us here on this panel. And Gaëtane is right now on link with us. Can we give the first word to Gaëtane, at least to try to get the best of the connections at this moment? Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Gaëtane.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you
días.
give us a few words from your side and your sets about our forum? What is your idea, and also what is the view that you have right now?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, first of all, not being with you. I wish I could be there, really. Thank you for giving me the first word. Yes, I work in the in an advisory capacity, to large companies, utilities, startups. And what I'm trying to do every day is to push for making investment in water more attractive, and to push for innovation uptake by large companies and utilities. I work at the international level, so I have a pretty good idea of what the startup landscape, looks like today. And my interest is very much on how the startup are actually shaping the market today. And I can tell you that there's no shortage of startups, really, and there is a growing need for innovation, including for facilitating the implementation of circular economy, which is the topic, of our session. Yet, if we come on to the topic of our session, it's very much, and I would be happy to hear your views on this, is very much how the circular economy as a concept, because it is a concept today, is translated into an investment stance. Because investors invest in technologies over a period of time, they don't invest in concept. And I'm deliberately provocative here. So it's very much, how we can demonstrate that the circular economy can be investable, how the technologies which are related to the circular economy, and I think, it goes for energy and water. So how this concept can relate, to investment. And I think the positive side of things, at least, for the water sector, is that the implementation of circular economy might force us as a sector to think about alternative investment models. We all know about the way that investment funds are shaped, the different stages into investment. But is it, and I'm posing the question to you and to the panel, is it the right way forward? And are the investment models today compatible with actually pushing the circular economy agenda? For instance, and I'm posing that to you. For instance, we have all these infrastructure funds and infrastructure projects. Somehow, could we relate, investment into innovative technologies, infrastructure projects, and investment together, which would be a new way of looking at positively investment in water, which has been quite low recently and over the past years, and let's say a successful story about the circular economy. I will finish off by saying, the technology will not sell by itself. It's not about just the technology. It's the model that you're going to put around investment, the rational investment, and the circular economic concept, and how you translate that into, let's say, a positive outcome for the startup, the end users, and the investor. And I will stop here. Thank you.
Okay, many thanks. I don't know if you have time to be with us the next hour.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
If not, we can ask. We can give to the public to give us some questions. Anyone have a questions now directly to Gaëtane? No. So everyone is very clear. So now we're going to give the word to Pedro to give us an idea about the investments that they are doing in Porto. Pedro, can you give us a presentation, please?
Morning. First of all, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to discuss our investment policy in the circular economy. I'm Pedro Viera, and I'm trying to tell a story about the investments in Aguas de Porto, and also to make a link between our investment priorities with the innovation strategy that we have implemented in our company. So just a brief introduction about Porto. Porto is a city shaped by water, and as it is now, and it is surrounded also by water streams and rivers that have a profound effect on population, in society, and in businesses. So for us, water is a big issue, and for that, our company manages the full water cycle. So besides managing the water supply network and wastewater network and wastewater treatment plants, we have two of those. We also manage the stream water, the storm water, streams and beaches, and also educational parts of in our city. So Porto is a medium city, like 500,000 citizens. And we have almost 160,000 clients. Our trends and drivers that we believe that are in the mainstream in the water sector vary, but pretty much adapt to all the companies. And I would like to start with talent and management of the talent that we have in our companies. For us, it's very crucial to have those subjects address it with knowledge, retaining knowledge, and making innovation within the company in order to make it more sustainable, but also customers and stakeholders management. We are a company that has one shareholder, and the shareholder is the municipality. So our capacity to make growth in the business and also the impact that it has in the citizens is very much to do with the municipal capacity and the municipal policies that are adopted for the city. We also have efficiency in process control issues. We are also dealing with more stringent legislation, and we started to adopt the themes like digitalization, business transformation, in our company. We also address the themes related to the circular economy and also asset management. So for this, we made a strategy based on technological solution that addresses the main issues that the company has to do in the operational level and personal level also, and that transformed the strategy in 12 axes of action with 40 projects that are, I think, 80% done until this time. And the thing is, we don't do complicated things, and we do things addressed to the business units' problems. So every project that we do has to be addressed with the business needs that are defined by the board. So just to stop a little bit in this slide. So our benefits that we see in adopting a digital water ecosystem within the company have to do about community benefits, operational benefits, financial and long-term resiliency benefits. So when we adopt the implementation of some new projects in the company, we have to see that those projects are going to have a profound impact in the business needs. I'll tell you a little bit about some of the projects that we developed since, I think, 2016. So one of them is the technological platform that I've talked about it yesterday. So what we did was integration of all the data in one single place that could address all the needs of in the company in all the areas that are making data in every second in our company. And we did the data integration of the company. We have everything in real time and online available to the operating teams and also for the managers and for the top managers. We have real-time monitoring. With this, we can make alarms in real time and also available for everyone. And with the simulating tools, what we did was to have more knowledge about how our networks work between each other. We also have reports, predictions, and warning to the public. That is in the end point of the management of the data and the information that is done in our company. So I think it is one of the most important projects that we did in the technological side of the company. And the thing is, it couldn't be successful if the business units didn't see any value of it and they didn't use across all the company. So we started this project in 2016 and we ended the implementation in 2018. And then what we started to do was to implement a rigorous implementation of more sensors based on the data that we were gathering and the information that was being made in the platform. And the next thing is, after this one, when we apply models of machine learning or AI or whatever, or some predictions, we are now able to make automation of things related with SCADAs and related with what usual people do in the network. So we are now in the phase of instrumentation, making more investments in new sensors, and also in automatization, applying like machine learning and AI to predict things that didn't happen based on the data that is being gathered, and it is being also transformed in the technological platform. That is in our roadmap. In the end, what we wanted to do is to just create an intelligent data core that, besides treating the data that is being made and treated within the company, also addresses the data that is also being connected to outside stakeholders in order to give to stakeholders the data that they need that can be useful for them, and also collect data from other parties that can be very useful for our businesses. And believe it or not, there is so much data that has nothing to do with water that is being very valuable for our business also. So some of the numbers that Alberto asked me to give about the implementation of new technologies. So since we have implemented this technology, so the water supply interruptions fell 22%, the duration of pipe burst repairs improved 8.3% in the operational level. Non-revenue water has been decreasing since in the last, I think, 8 years, and since the implementation of this one dropped by 3.6%. The number of sewer collapses also decreased 54%, and the duration of sewer and service connection repairs improved 45%. Also, the customer complaints were reduced by 3.5% because we think that before doing anything, we are now modeling and transmitting to operational people in the field what is the impact of their operations to our clients. So, digital water transformation, and now passes for the next phase, implementing new flow meters, smart water meters. We made an investment in 22,000 flow meters in the last 2 years, and we are going to send to make public a new tender to implement more 20,000. And right now we have 1/3 of the entire park equipped with smart meters. And what we see is the smart meters are not important just for billing or just for controlling flows in the customers' connections, but also very valuable to address those themes related with water supply, non-renewable water, and also, believe it or not, with sewage and what we are treating in our wastewater treatment plants. So, as we have seen, that is a lack of offerings on monitoring in real time the networks that we have in the field. What we did was to cover the entire city with antennas that can give us hourly the consumption in which meter that we have applied. So until the end of the semester, what we will do is to invest. We are implementing antennas throughout the city that can have the availability to give us hourly the flows that are being measured in the automatic readers of our clients. So this is not so huge investment in this technology, but we think that the investment will be surpassed, and we will have a very nice ROI with the benefits that we have in controlling not only the consumption, but also in the behavior of our DMAs. With the implementation of the technology, what we did was to give new interfaces to the people that are in the back office managing the behaviors of the operational teams. And in the beginning of the year, we delivered a new control room with everything that was gathered in the technological platform. So to have some of the numbers that we treat yearly in our company, we have almost 130,000 calls treated in this control room, and we have 41 seconds of average time in waiting time, and we also we treat more than 25,000 occurrences in the networks. It will be now a test to our availability to surpass in this COVID thing, but one thing that they asked us in the operational level was to totally digitalize and virtualize the control room in case of anyone couldn't go working there. So we can only do this if we have everything online and available in any place, and fortunately I think we'll do it. So by the other end, we are giving new interfaces with this data to the clients, so the clients who have smart meters in their homes can follow the consumption hourly with our solution. But also what we do is to give the most information that we can to people that just want to follow the flow of the design projects that they are submitting to our utility. Porto has a very huge pressure on tourism right now, and what we've seen is the increment of 300% from one year to another of the number of projects that are being licensed in our company. And that addresses new issues, because people always complain about the time that we have to analyze those projects. And the best thing that we did was to just implement new interfaces in order to give them the most information about these processes. And by this, what we did also was to change processes using lean approaches to the problem, and also putting people working better with new processes, with new, more agile, that could help them also give new interfaces to the clients with better response. So, and on top of that, what we did was invest in technology to put new processes with an integrated approach throughout the company. We think that our wastewater treatment plants are a big opportunity for us, so we have been doing incredible work that fortunately will maintain the company sustainable for the future, but we are arriving the phase that new investments in the networks and in technology have to be rationalized in order to make more value to the company. Our experience tells us that when we implement too much technology in the company, so people start being like addicted for technology, then want everything for everyone. And that makes us a challenge also, because we must just use the technology investments that have immediate or very good impact in the business. One thing that stays in front of us and makes us very keen on following this subject is what to do with our wastewater treatment plants. So we look at them as a big opportunity, not only as making more efficient the way they work, but also making them like factories also of products that can be very useful for the market. So we are right now addressing those themes regarding the production of gas, electricity, and also phosphorus, fiber, whatever. And it's been very interesting to talk with other peers and know about their opinion about this thing. So our investments in the future in the wastewater treatment plant will regard not only efficiency themes, but also business opportunities that can be of the best interest of the company and also of the city. Currently, we are investing also in photovoltaic panels within our headquarters and every asset that we have spread out through the city. And I think we admit that besides being a water company, we want to be an energy player also in the city. And for my personal opinion, we should also be a food player in the future as soon as we can. So circular economy treats not only business efficiencies, but in my opinion, we have the obligation as a very important citizens player in our city to play a different role in other things that are not so sexy right now, but I think they will be the future and they will maintain the future of our company. So what we did was to implement a photovoltaic system in our assets with this production that we see behind us. And besides having any direct impact in the environment, we think it would have a direct impact also in our electricity bills. And with this, it is really connected with the investment that was done in the electric fleet. So all the cars are electric or hybrid, and we try to just manage all the electricity that is consumed in the company with our photovoltaic panels and also with energy that is being produced in the wastewater treatment plants in the future. So to gather some of the ideas and related this with the innovation of our company, what we did was to promote a boot camp of innovation that gathered people within the company, people outside the company, major stakeholders, universities, startups, etc., whatever. And in the end, what we did was to gather more than 1,000 ideas that in the end ended in 100 projects to be done. And when we do this, we have to think and prioritize the type of investments that will come out of that 100 projects that we have ready to go. Should we invest in all of them? Should we invest in a part of them? How they link with the strategy? Is it feasible to hear our people in the field and our stakeholders and do what they want us to do? In my personal opinion, it's very useful to do this exercise and in the end come up with at least some projects that can be done. It will empower people that they see that their ideas are going to be done and they are aligned with the overall strategy of the company. And also we see that our things matter for actual people that are in the field. In the end, what we did was to show a report to the board with 7 projects that were accepted throughout the company and that will be done this year. Okay, we call it the DROP, Disruptive Operations center in our company. And we delivered a report that was an handmade drawing with 8 meters length that with asterisks told the story of this. So in the left part are the representation of our company, that is Gaia, actually. And Gaia is being just is being oppressed by some obsessions that are the clouds that are up in there. Obelix has all the forces of change that are in the water sector in our company, and also we put it the lens of innovation to discuss the discontinuities, also the orthodoxies, the insights from clients, and the key competencies that we have leveraged in the field. Okay, and as we did the boot camp in one room, in the other room was some young artists making a business case in the form of this design. It was pretty nice to present this to the entire company. Then we presented the boot camp like a fight in the left side, and in the end we have built the 5 spaces of growth of the company that would address the most important things. And those 5 axes of growth I think will have to be aligned with the strategy of the company, and in each one of them we will deliver at least one project. Just to finish, so we are going to address problems and investment. We are going to do investments in the customer service in order to put the company not just only delivering services, but to deliver exceptional experiences to the clients. In the part of smart data, we won't gather just data, we'll be a smart network. And we want to be a visionary company coming from a traditional organization to an innovation ecosystem. We think we can gather this through within the city. We'll be the water champion, passing from being just efficient to being the state of the art, and we want to have future business related with our company, not being just in our company, but a source of products. And with this, we built our massive transformation purpose, addressing 4 axes, that are the intelligent network that we have, also the availability to manage the full water cycle, and also being a community problem solver and addressing the climate change issues that will transform us from a water utility to an intelligent city accelerator. So I think our investments that we'll do in the next years, sure we'll maintain the networks, we'll do roadworks, we'll do pipe supervision, etc. But we think that it's very important to strict with our purpose of the company. Okay, and that's it. And hope to
Thank you, Pedro.
discuss this later. Thank you.
That's a nice point of view from a municipality company. It's always good to know also what he's doing. Now I would like to know a little bit more about the private sector. Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so my name is Noam Komy. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Miya. Miya is an international efficiency-driven operator, which means that we operate water utilities, water and wastewater utilities in different parts of the world, some through our ownership of the assets and concessions, and some for others that we supply the service. We supply more than 1.5 million people around the world. Our largest, interestingly enough, our largest activity is in the north of Portugal. So now I can call it the triangle of water excellence. So actually 10 minutes or 20-minute drives from the headquarters of the gentleman to my right, Gaia, Porto, and we're in Matosinhos, which is a suburb of Porto. I don't know if it is by chance or by mentality that really, I think this area of the world somehow became a hub of innovation and success in the water industry, which is quite amazing. It's a bit besides the point of the conversation, but I think it is very interesting to see. By the way, most of our successful projects all over the world now are managed by Portuguese as well. So it is a very good connection for us as a company. What I want to speak to you today about is less about what Miya does, is more about where we stand as an industry. And usually when you come to a water conference, people start bombing you with very sad facts and very sad pictures of people thirsty, drinking from a puddle in the street, you know, no access, nothing, everything is horrible. They tell you that 2.1 billion people don't have water in their house, that 700 people a day die from water-related diseases and all that. All true, all a real problem. We're not denying that. But we think that there is also very positive things that happened, and let's focus a bit on the positive. So first of all, since 1990, 2.6 billion people over the world gained relatively reliable access to safe water, which is an amazing achievement for the water industry. Now, 91% of the water of the population is already served by an improved water source, which means to us that there is and should be a shift on the goals of the industry and where we want to take this industry. So, and this matches a lot what is going on, moving from a linear economy, that is, let's take a resource, consume it, waste it as the cheapest we can for now, and pray that the rain will come next year. This does not work, and I think we all understand that. The challenges of the water industry changed. Urbanization is a huge theme around the world, even in a place like Portugal or Spain. The small places, the pueblos, the cities, the small cities, which is a sad thing in general, are being emptied. The big cities are becoming more and more prominent, and there's much more stress on these large systems. What does that imply? It implies that we, with this shift of taking and wasting, we have to move, and with these trends of urbanization and growth of the population in the big cities, we have to focus ourselves on efficiency. Was talking about a lot about efficiency here and excellence, but excellence is the next stage that a utility like Porto can do because they have a good base. But many utilities around the world suffer for immense inefficiencies, immense. We lose a huge amount of water. So the average for a water utility around the world to lose water that they actually either buy or treat, so it's chemicals, is electricity, is facilities, etc. A third is wasted. Just to give you some numbers, 126 billion cubic meters a year are wasted. Nothing happens with them. Imagine in any other industry, this would not be acceptable. Imagine that you own a factory for cars. And the first thing, or you buy a factory for cars, and the first thing that the manager tells you is, listen, I buy the metal and all the components and everything, but before the car goes out to the client or before I can invoice the client, I lose a third or 40 or 50 or 60% of my produce. What would you do in any other industry? You would see this as a disaster. But in the water industry, unfortunately, now it wasn't a disaster. Why? Because water was abundant, let's say, in many places, or what I claim, water was not given the value of water. There is a value to water, and one of the failures that we have as an industry, and I think this is across public and private, we fail to deliver to the public that water has a value. We fail to tell the story. We fail to say to these guys, all of these people here, and a lot of people in the room, work night and day. The amount of money invested in this industry is immense. No one sees that. Most of the population still sees water as a gift from God or a gift from nature, depends on their religious beliefs. But no one understands the process, and we are the fault of not the public. We cannot blame the public. We always need to look at ourselves and what we do wrong to explain better what we do. All these losses translate to a huge amount of money. Now let's talk to the business side. Around $40 billion a year are wasted through these phenomena of water losses. And I'm specifically talking about water losses because Miya came from water losses. But this applies also in the wastewater side, in other things in the industry. And this is a huge amount of money. And this is money that is actually on the table there to take. In some cases, it is not even a matter of CapEx investment. It is thus a matter of better management. And with minimal resources, you can improve. And this is not being performed in many, many, many utilities. We are quite, let's say, fortunate in Western Europe that a lot of the utilities, specifically the larger cities, they have the capabilities, they have the know-how, they come to these places, they learn, they evolve. But this is not true for, first of all, let's say 50% of the municipalities and utilities in countries like Spain and Portugal. And in the developing world, it's much worse, okay? So we have a continuous stress on these systems to supply more water to these millions of people moving to the cities. The situation with global warming and all these things, we know that the resource, we already know on this day and age, what our fathers didn't know, that this is a finite resource that we need to treat with respect. And the thing is how to crack this phenomenon. Of course, again, I think the public sector has a huge importance in a sector like water. I think that without the private sector, this is impossible, and this should be accepted as almost like an axioma. This is something that we need to assume, that without the private sector, no sector in the economy, unless you believe in other things that went out of fashion since '89, that there is no replacement in any sector of the economy to the participation of the private sector. It doesn't mean that the private sector needs to do everything. It means that the private sector has what to contribute. What do they have to contribute now beyond technology, beyond know-how, beyond all these beautiful things? Money. The interest rate environment that we live in is unprecedentedly low. It is historically low. Money is cheap today, extremely cheap. It is extremely hard for fixed income players to get returns. They used to invest in bonds. They used to invest in the government bond of Germany. Finish. This is the work. I buy the bond, wait 10 years in my office, pay the pension, good. No more. This dream has burst. They need infrastructure investments. They need you guys, okay? And this is the case, we say, I'm from Israel, we say in Hebrew, I don't know if this translates to any language. In some cases, the cow wants to give the milk more than the calf wants to drink. And this is the situation. You have available resources. You have the money, you have the technology, you have the know-how. Now the question is how to put this all together. This is the challenge, is no more a financial challenge. The financial challenge in most of the world is finished. The technological challenge, of course, is always evolving, but it's finished. We have the technology. We know the systems. We know the management protocols. I can tell you that what we do in our water loss activities, the theory is online. Search it. Google it. You can do it allegedly. Anyone can do it by himself. But this is not the way. The way is to try to connect all these sectors together, and when it is appropriate and when it is needed, and again, this is not needed in all systems, but in many systems it is needed, we need to involve private sector performance and operations and combine it with private sector financing. What do we need to do that? It's very simple. We need to remember one thing. Banks, pension funds, infrastructure investors are financial people, okay? So they are conservative by nature, okay? They have a very specific way at looking at a project, at looking at financing. We have two ways with this. We can argue with them to the end of the days, and we will not change them, okay? Or we can go with them. What does that mean? It means that we have to have the governance models, the legal protections, the contracts, the political support to take and tap this huge pool of money and bring it to us, and bring it to the industry, to the people, and it's there. I'll give a short example. In many places, you cannot finance a project of improvement. Why? Because no one wants to put in place the mechanisms that allows that. But the mechanisms can be extremely simple. Can be escrow accounts, can be all sorts of guarantees. These are not things that require usually anything that is business disruptive or financially disruptive. It is political disruptive, okay? The private sector also needs to understand that there is a resentment, political, etc., against full privatizations, etc., and we all know that. And we also need to adjust. we also need to know how to go to the middle ground and not to ask only, okay, I want to buy your whole business and send you home. This also doesn't work completely, and we need to find a match. I'll give one example that now Miya is performing, and I'll try to finish with that. We are now being awarded, and hopefully we'll start soon, and I'll be able to disclose more in the next conference, project in the US, which is a 20-year project of outsourcing of all the commercial activities of one of the largest water utilities in the US. It's a 20-year project with revenues of around $2.7 billion along the 20 years. And the main challenge was that people thought this cannot be financeable. What we did is we went to the banks and we asked them, what do you need to fund? Tell us what you need. We went to the clients. Of course, this was a tender process. The information was available for everyone, for the data room, etc. But no one else picked that kind of ball and ran with it. And we said to them, guys, these are the things that a bank needs to finance this operation. They were simple things. They were not something that we designed in a lab. Everyone can do this, okay? It requires effort, know-how, and a bit of pushiness. No more than that. And we have managed to raise a committed financing from the largest financial institution in the US in the bid stage. This was not magic. This was not tricks. These were not connections. We're a small, almost irrelevant company globally, of course, for an American financial institution. It was giving them what they need to see. And we need to understand, I think, as a private sector, that we need to adjust ourselves both to the public sector demands, on the one hand, on both to the financial sector on the other hand. I think that the public water utilities and public sector in general needs to understand that the enemy is not the private sector. The enemy is the inefficiency. The enemy is the technical problems. The private sector is a friend, and that we all need to work together, not to reject each other or not to criticize each other, but we are one industry, need to push this forward and to have these models. Within the public water utilities, you can now do an improvement project with a huge financing facility, which was not possible before. Okay, so I will end with that. I just hope that maybe next year it will be again in Portugal, so we'll be even more North Portugal oriented. Not that I don't enjoy Valencia, but still, it's a pleasure to be with these guys on a panel, and thank you.
Thanks, Noam. Now let's listen here, Miguel, and the news for Gaia. Just to let you know that between us four here, we are here 9 concessions in the north, okay? So our company, we have 2 nearby also, so this market was a very good cluster, okay? We are.
Thank you, Alberto. First of all, I want to say thanks to Mark to invitation to be here. And of course, I want to say hello also to my panel colleagues. And it's a pleasure to be here with Aguas do Porto because Gaia and Porto are neighboring cities. Neighboring cities, and I think that our companies are very, very similar. And normally I say that we are twins companies. Our founder was the same. So we learned together with some books. And I think in any times we have the same ideas and we share a lot of things and a lot of ideas. And I think it's very, very nice to management like that, because our 2 cities have a river, but the river does not divide us, but unite us. So first of all, I want to say this because in my presentation I don't have the characterization of my city, but it's very similar to Porto. It's the other side of the river. I only say that we are the 3rd biggest city in Portugal, and with more than 300,000 inhabitants. So it's the 3rd biggest city in Portugal. And of course, Aguas de Gaia is the company that manages the water, the wastewater, the rainwater network also, and the garbage system also, and we do all the urban water system. We also do some management in the rivers and in the beach also, and so we do everything in terms of water except the wastewater treatment, that we don't management the plants. So I start to say that how the group member already said that in our company we believe in the future. So we invest in innovation and we do some projects inside our company. Other projects we do with other companies, of course, with Group Miya also, by the way. And today I do a presentation with one question. And the question is, if I have a euro in my company, how I invest it? And for this conference, I choose 3 answers: the leakage reductions, the reuse water, and technology to management better and more efficiency. In terms of technology, we choose 4 areas, and we named the project Water 4.0. And the vectors are the leakage reductions, a satellite-based system to detect leakage, our GIS system, and smart metering. Our focus to the next 4 years are our reduced water loss project and program. We want to, in 4 years, be with only 10% of water loss. And how you know, a lot of leakage we can see with our eyes. So in the end of last year, we was the first Portuguese company who's a technology from Israel to detect leakage with satellite. How it works? It works. To be honest, it's simple. The complex is, of course, the system and the technology and the algorithm. But the way to doing is detecting the drinking water leaks via satellite-based system survey, doing 4 things. First of all, we must acquire a satellite image. After that, we have a report with our leakage. After that, of course, we must go to the field with our field workers to confirm the leakage. And after that, we must, of course, do the repair. So we save time, we save money, of course, and we save water. I have here a little movie with our pilot project that I want to show you to understand better how it works. Let's see our case study. Oh. Can you help me, please? Okay. No. Okay. All right.
So as you can see, one of the teammates using the acoustic equipment to look for the leaks, and the other one is using the tablet with our app that we provide, Utilis application. In this app, you can see exactly their location inside the POI. Right now, he is looking on the POI, the point of interest that we mark on the map, and he guide him and navigate his way through the system. You know exactly which part of the pipe you need to investigate, and he's follow to the pipe that we marked in the application.
Aguas de Gaia. o seu bem mais precioso.
So we did a partnership with this private company, and we are working with this technology and with this system in Gaia. And a lot of Portuguese companies already contact us and see our case study, and they are also implement this system, and it's very, very interesting because how already said in other situations, the investment is paid. The investment is absolutely paid because when we detect the leak and we repair the leak, we of course have our investment paid. Another vector that our strategy is the smart metering, and we are doing with a Portuguese company a project to implement our smart metering network and with our own communication network. You have here some examples, so how it works. I don't want to talk very technical, but I have some examples here. So we use a conventional water meter, but we put a radio transmission antenna in the metering, and we transform the metering in a wireless water metering, and the meters are communicate with the other meterings, and we do our own communication network with I will show you, with all the cities, another city points. For example, with the quality of air sensor, smart radar sensor, the urban waste sensor, also the irrigation, the vehicle and people detection, and this all together communication. So we said that we are building the smart city through the water, through our company, and in partnership, of course, with the city council. We can also do some analysis, and we can do with this project. This project contributes also for our water loss program, because we can detect also loss in the house of the clients, and we can alert the clients, and the clients can receive an alert in their mobiles and can do something or contact our company, and we can reduce also the leakage on demand. Some graphics, I will speak about that, but it's an integration management system, of course. So we use the water meters, we use automatic meters intelligent, we use learning machine platform, and we do actions after that. This is the project in our city. We are launched now our first smart village, our first pilot project in Gaia, near the river, by the way. And another part is our GIS system. We did a lot of investments with GIS system, with our platforms, and last year in San Diego, California, United States of America, we won the ESRI award, and we was in California to receive it. And what we did is use our GIS platforms to do everything without paper, everything with tablets, everything with dashboards, and we can give the works for the workers and on the field. We can analyze in our office. We have dashboards to see how is the process, and so on and so on. And we don't use paper anymore in our company. About the reuse water, we did two little projects. Little projects because I think that we must start little to do it and grow up the projects. The first project was a very little project, but very interesting, because we did it in the schools. So we choose 6 schools in Gaia, and we did install a system to reuse the rainwater in the schools. Why this project is interesting? Because we promote the efficient use of water resource. We can say that is also an education program to the children, and of course we are doing the reuse water program also. So we built this kind of system. We did project inside of the company, and was designed by us, and they reuse the rainwater and is used inside the schools to clean the floor or to the toilets and some use. 2 minutes, okay, I'm finished. About the reused water, in my opinion, in our opinion, we must do some questions. First of all, how we can amortize the investment, because in terms of wastewater reuse, the investment is high, as you know. How we can control the operations costs, the maintenance costs, but of course we have environment benefits. So this is the kind of discussion. In Gaia, we did a pilot project also. We used the wastewater reused. We did it in partnership with another company, because we don't manage our wastewater treatment plants. And our two companies did a partnership to use or reuse the wastewater to industrial use, urban cleaning, street cleaning, and irrigation. So here is the plant. We have here a point, and we can do the irrigation for all this area and this public garden also, and for city cleaning. Here was the day that we turn on the tap. This is the environment minister in Portugal, doing the first irrigation with reused wastewater. The faces are very happy, as you can see. To finish the question, future. How we can see the future is not our present, but I believe that in future we must have two different ways of water quality, and two networks, to water supply, and of course the reuse wastewater to another use. This is my opinion. I don't know how we can invest, how we can do it, but I think is the future. But in fact is already the present in some countries. Of course, Israel is the championship of this kind of use, as you can see in this kind of infograph. And also Bill Gates, that is drinking, I don't know if it's true or not, but he said that he drink reused water. So maybe we can feel the situation in the future. I don't know, maybe it's a dream or not, but I think we must thinking in this kind of investments and activities. So it's more than €1, but it's a rational investment plan, and I think to improve the circular economy now. It was what we are doing. And to finish, only a final note. In terms of innovation, we have also a program that is not here in the presentation, but is a program to support new ideas and entrepreneurs. We did in partnership with Finova, that is here, Rivuelta, hello, and we are doing a European program to support the new ideas with the Portuguese Association, Acredita Portugal, and European Foundation, Finova. And it's very, very nice to know and to see that the last year winner, Scubik, is here. So I also want to say hello to Bruno Abreu from Scubik, that won last year the project and the new idea about is a very nice startup and very nice idea to reduce the energy costs in the wastewater treatment plant. So hello Bruno, and congratulations for that. So thank you one more time, and I'm available to question if you have. And thank you Alberto.
More than welcome. Thank you, Miguel. So, Martin, can you give us a short 5 minutes, please? Giving time here to Martin, just to tell you that in our company in Singapore, we're already bottling now the water. So we have a process of new water. So we're already using the wastewater to not just for irrigation on gardens, but also for cooling the industries. And we already have the new water projects, so we are bottling. And I'm the one that already drank at least 5 bottles when I was there, so I'm okay. And that was 1 year ago, okay? So just will tell you a little bit about our projects.
I know that is true because was there. Yes.
So I'm curious if they have my presentation ready. It was originally for another panel. I was drafted very late. I promise I will be quick. I usually train startups to pitch in less than 3 minutes. So the 5 is 50% more time than I usually take. Let's see if I can do it. Are they there? Go ahead. Or if not, I have I can improvise without the slides. Any communication with the tech team? Let's see. Okay, so while they're getting it ready, an observation on the title itself and something about rationality. Rational investments. What I see a lot when I work with startups, meaning high risk. I work with more than 100 startups, SMEs per year, chosen from a pool of around 1,500. So the cream of the crop. And something that I've noticed is that most public sector seems risk adverse to the degree of irrationality. Pretty classical thing is that if you have a 5% chance of getting 100 million or 100% chance of getting 4 million, you'll take the 4 million for 100%. Now, if you do this over a long span of time, you're losing out quite a lot. And the public sector actually has the opportunity to do repeated high-risk bets many, many times and start winning. I've seen an example of it in Finland, where they're connecting Finland and Estonia, and there they set aside around 1% of the budget. The total budget is in the billions to only test technologies. So they contacted us to how to build an island that was entirely circular from the bottom up. Like I played with Lego as a kid, so to me this was a dream scenario. Having all the tech in the world that I had seen throughout many, many years of working with cutting edge technologies, and then finally being able to deploy all of it. It's early stages, so there will probably come some restrictions later. But the initial thought for me was really, really nice. That it was a way to an urban living lab with 50,000 people. So I will not take the riskiest technologies. Some people will be living in them. Anyway, when we see that money is cheap, negative rent, to me it baffles me that we are not doing a changed tender process where we're putting aside a fast track for small companies to test the technology. It's not standard. And that makes no sense considering the challenges that we're facing. We already heard the 40 billion lost in leakage per year. I mean, you don't need to succeed very many times to have a scalable product that would pay itself back hundreds and hundreds of times. There we go. Thank you. Okay, I'll be even faster with my own presentation. So, background. I've been asked what I do and why I do it many times. I was a student of history, and that means a student of war. And I wanted to stop war. Basically, I read history, and I found out that we started like small cell beings, grew out, quickly conquered land. From land, we learned how to master nature. Then, in what just was like a flick of time, considering our human history, we learned how to destroy and, take out resources of nature with fancy machinery. Suddenly, we use that fancy machinery to bring some destruction, and smart digital watches. And by then, we could exterminate our whole human race many times over. That has been some of our biggest technological breakthroughs. Now, of course, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want a world on fire. which it literally is. Amazon, this was Portugal, China, we cannot breathe anymore. You know, most of our water reservoirs are under heavy attack by our use of agricultural supplements. And for the people I love, and that's my focus when I do anything that's dark and takes a lot of time, that little guy, that's my nephew. The other guy is my brother. They're pretty useless when it comes to tech. One because he's not educated in this, and the other one because he's pretty useless at everything. So far, he's pretty good at eating and sleeping. And I want to serve them this, the Garden of Eden. The reality is, we are still in a paradigm where environmental impact is people times our living standard times technology. I want us to change that paradigm, so technology, are you ready for some crazy mathematics? Technology will be the dividing factor, actually bringing down our environmental impact. That is what I live to do. I do it with a few other crazy guys, and if someone ever suggests you to start a startup, you know they're nuts and you should turn around and walk away. These people were crazy enough to stick with me, and started off in 2015 with this very ugly one-pager, and I can say that, I designed it. And with this, for some reason, IBM chose to become our partner. And that meant we could scale from being in Copenhagen, still the one-pager, to in 8, almost 12 countries. Now, 12 countries in total, counting the things we did for other companies. And our track record when it comes to working with startups has been, I think, quite phenomenal. 2/3 of the companies that we work with have their monthly revenue triple. They raise capital within a year, and their teams grow as well. So they create jobs. Around 600 jobs have been created through indirect impacts from us, and supplier jobs are in close to 2,000. We started off a team of 3 people with a one-pager on a paper bag. I think that's something that has made me very happy. We moved around 70 million into green investments. And we did it for a purpose. We can see that the young generation, they're demanding action at another pace than we have ever seen before, which makes sense because, as you know, the people who are supposed to handle this issue, they've been very good at postponing it for the next meeting. And we cannot just cruise around, unfortunately, and expect the problem to solve itself. Actually, cruising around might just make sure that there is no more planet underwater or above water to save. Now, I know that we're walking a tight line. We basically have 2 choices. We can fall to the right, or we can fall to the left. And we are on this edge right now. We have around 10 years to make this significant transition. Of course, I want us to fall to the left, bringing it to water. I prefer this scenario to the other one. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in this room feel the same way. I think that you have the potential to be the bridge to a greener and brighter future. So again, why? I want you to just take a few seconds to think of the people that you would die for or live for, which is harder. For me, again, these 2 people. And imagine, for all of the technologies that actually work, solar, wind, water cleaning, we have thousands that crashed and burned. We exist to make sure that fewer of the innovative businesses, they get stuck in this really nice sounding place called the Valley of Death. And we do that by making sure that they get access to financing and customers faster. We also do it by changing regulation in countries so that green innovation can be deployed through either pilots or get easier access to finance, making sure that we have a world to live in. Now, I love working with entrepreneurs. They see opportunity where the rest of us, we dredge along in the snow thinking, oh, not again. And I kind of see the startups as playing the role of a piranha fish compared to a corporate, which is more like a great white shark. Now, anyone who's been diving and done anything like it know that it's much more dangerous to be attacked by a flock of piranha fish than the great white sharks. But from a political point of view, it's much nicer to have the piranha fish because if one of them dies, doesn't really matter. There's so many more. And you only decrease like 1% if one of your big companies, too big to fail, they crash, they take the whole economy with them. So we have an incentive to move into a more diversified economy rather than have a few big players that are dominating the entire thing. That also brings challenges, such as how do you spread the right ideas faster. I'm just going to give you some glimpses of the future. So here, Tech, they were looking at how to do tidal wave power smarter. One of the things that they found out was that it's only 10% efficient in one of the directions, which is a huge, huge energy loss. It's 80% of the total energy that you could generate. So they did something that is not so crazy when you think about it, when you've gone through a revolving door 20 times today. They made it spin. I know. Absolutely nuts. These guys flush wave. When we talk about reusable water, they took the water that goes from your sink and made sure that it goes into your toilet instead. So when you flush, you flush gray water instead of flushing with drinking water. Solandia, they found out that we have an underqualified workforce when it comes to our new and renewable energy sources and setting it up and monitoring it. So a booking platform for people who are used to using new technologies, but also creating jobs where people have lost jobs. So the people who went out of being in coal or forestry, they could suddenly go out and set up solar cells. 6-week course. Most booming business in Sweden is actually this. Heliac, thermal energy. I've heard desalinator. They were using thermal energy to create water. These guys, they brought thermal energy down to a price point where it was 3 times cheaper using solar than wind in Denmark. Now, Denmark had 29 days of rain in February. That is all days of February. So, to put that into perspective, if you can make solar cheaper than wind in Denmark, you've done something very right. Pippi, they eliminated the water use by having a biodegradable product that you could use for urine. Aqualogic, they another system that could detect the leakage in Sao Paulo. They lose about 40% of their water in the pipes before they reach consumers. That's just money flushed out the toilet, literally. Empower Ventures. How do you bring technology to off-grid sites? It's not something we're concerned about here, but 3.5 billion of the next 80% of the next 3.5 billion people will be living in developing markets with low grid technology being not just a nice to have, but a need to have if we want to service them. Aqualogic. For all of you who have any kind of water storage that's outside, you know that evaporation is stealing money from you. Normally it's around 30%. They added a must layer to hydro dams to keep, well, one, it actually cleansed the water. The second one, it brought the evaporation down to 5 to 10% rather than around 30. That's just tons of money. Wateroo. So financing, we heard money's cheap here. It's not cheap in developing markets. They were bridging the financial gap between developing markets and people who could not get returns in the north in sustainable energy and water projects. So I can see not the updated slides. The solar gaps. There was an autocorrect here, which didn't help me. They could turn all of the window blinds into small solar cells, bringing down energy costs of buildings tremendously. But also something that you can use, especially in the tropical climate, if you are dealing with desalination or you lack thermal energy and you're afraid your water is going to evaporate. Shower loop, again, they actually had a UV cleansing filter, so you can reuse the water in the households, bringing down your water consumption. Aqualogic, nudging mechanism telling you, hey, shower's been 4 minutes, wrap it up. More or less, they do other things as well, but. Hexicon. When we're talking desalination, they found out that one of the things you pay a lot for when you do offshore wind is the base. It's everything that's below water. So they could make floating platforms that could have 2 to 3 windmills on them. You can attach that to either desalination or just have the power go straight. But bringing down the total costs tremendously for offshore wind. I think that was it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Oh, sorry. Well, it was not my investor pitch, but
it was very good because it was very emotion, and I believe that in the middle of so big companies was also good to listen your ideas, and also even now you got my interest. At least I want to speak also with you about a few seconds about other opportunities. For all of you, many thanks for your support. I would like also to give a very big word of appreciation to Mark. It's an amazing effort that you are doing every year to bring us here. And it's amazing the networking that you are doing, because mostly we are doing business, we are seeing friends, and mostly we know that when we need to speak about our sector, we just need to come and find you on WEX. Thank you, Mark, for all your support.
Thank you.